What's up, guys? Sub-Zerek here. Look, I said I was going to talk about this yesterday, and I want to do a video about it because Mort made this big post. He also made a YouTube video about this, about 1418 and why it's such a big patch and just all of that in general. So I wanted to talk about this. Once again, I have a VOD for you guys to watch while I yap because, you know, I know you guys need your visual stimulation. I got Subway Surfers pulled up for the next video, but I'm waiting to really break out the big guns for you know, the video tomorrow. And by that, I mean there might not be a video tomorrow because I'm going to be on my way back to my home after my vacation, which is weird because I'm recording this before I've even left for my vacation. So just showing you guys, doesn't that deserve a like? And to join my Metafy group in the description down below, would appreciate it a lot. All right. So 1418 is a huge patch. There's a lot of stuff. There's all of these champion reworks in it. There's the frying pan. There's, you know, the item remover stuff. There's the 4-cost odds change. It's one of the biggest patches we've ever had. It's almost like a mid set. It is, it's really not too far. It's a mini mid set. People have called it like 12.125, because it's basically like half of a mid set. It's a mid set without all of the new like traits, basically. Like if Mort threw in a couple of new traits and took some out, this would just be a mid set. And so the question is like, why are there all of these changes happening in one patch? And, you know, I think for a lot of other people, or maybe not, maybe other people aren't making this connection, but I'm certainly making this connection. Last set, we had something similar with the new Ornn artifacts, right? That was a huge change to the game where we're getting all these new artifacts that we can play around. And so like the question becomes like, okay, like what's wait, we actually fought the Fortune player immediately here. That's actually hilarious. Well, okay. I mean, that's not bad for Soju. But yeah, but yeah, sort of the question is like, okay, it's actually really good. I think he RNG'd that he got the scoreboard scrapper value. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to talk about this stuff. But yeah, like, you know, we had that big patch in the middle of set 11, and now we're having this big patch, which is honestly even bigger than that. Artifacts was kind of big, but not so big. But this is another huge patch. And the question is like, okay, is this going to happen all the time? And Mort actually does address that. So yeah. So the first thing that Mort says in this is that we started this patch. The first thing we knew was shipping 2 key features: the frying pan. This is something we've wanted to do for a while to simplify the emblem system and remove Tome of Traits, which was a complex item with a ton of hidden rules. We talked about that in the other video. More access to item removers, making TFT more approachable is a big goal. Removers help people more comfortable using items and transitioning comps. So cool. So because we knew those features were shipping, it was a good opportunity to say, what can we add to make this patch even more exciting? And the thing that Mort talks about in the video, and that he talks about a little bit here, is that there are so many people working on TFT now. You know, he said they're working up to set like 17 right now. And with so many people working on the game, they can kind of just do stuff. He names some people straight up here, but he says, you know, this person, Che Mirix, was willing to put time into improving champions like Gwen, Dragon's Ash, and more. Kent was working on charms. Chalky was working on Honeymancer and Fairy. The Truxie was working on augments, making new class augments, bug fixes, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Mort actually says here, TVH, it was probably more than we should have done, but the TF team always wants to push themselves to make the game better, so we did. Shoutouts to the unsung heroes, like the engineers in QA, or poor Riot Prism, who had to write the monster patch notes. So yeah, TLDR, we wanted to ship 2 new features, and because of passion, we scaled it up and did so much more. And now, a few like big bullet points that Mort says. 1. Is it because the set is bad or failing? No, not even a little. Magic and Mayhem landed quite well, doing good player-wise and hours-wise. Mechanic was received well. We didn't have to do this at all, but we did. I think this is the weirdest critique, is people are like, they're doing it. If this many reworks are required, doesn't it mean the set sucks? No, I mean, look, they changed like Namzi. But I don't think anyone was like, Namzi is a fundamentally flawed unit. Like, obviously, like, maybe the Ari rework is something that they felt was, like, necessary. But, like, reworking stuff like Namzi and Ash, I don't think was necessary. It was just little quality of life stuff where they said, you know, like, we couldn't figure this out right at the start of the set. You know, we didn't know how to, like, you know, have this work out perfectly. But, you know, we can add a little bit. We can add a little bit of spice in there because we have the time. Why not? And, I mean, I'm happy with that. I'm happy if, you know, they say we're going to add some stuff to make the game a little bit better every single patch because we have so much time and so much, you know, space to make the game better. I mean, how could you ever say that's a bad thing? Here's the number 2 bullet point that I think is really, really important. Can we expect this every set? No. Straight up no. As mentioned, when we have key features to ship, we'll always try to make it a cool patch to go with it. Designers may not always have time to do big stuff like this. We also don't want to be afraid to make the current game even better, so we'll do it when we can. So that sounds to me, based on what Mort said, is like, you can't expect this, but this will happen more. You know, like this is not going to happen every single set, but there will be more sets where like they have a big patch that's going to come out. So okay, we're just going to you know, have another big set of changes like this. So I'm kind of down for this. I am also kind of down for this to not happen every set, but I guess I'll talk about that more once I get through everything that Mort said so far. And then the last bullet point. Isn't this too much? Too much change? Maybe. Mort actually says maybe. Though this time we specifically tried not to change how things work too much. Everywhere champ, for example, still likes the same items, just less bound to them. I actually think impact of things isn't as big as it could be, but hopefully just cleaner. That being said, if this ends up being too much, will be a good learning for next feature we want to ship during a set. Yeah, I think this is the only sort of like criticism that sticks with me a little bit, is that this is a lot of change. This is basically a mini mid set, and adding a mini mid set to a set is a big change. They decided to not do mid sets because, well, I mean, actually, I'll talk more about that, I guess. But you know, it's basically a mini mid set, and that can be overwhelming for some players, right? Like, wait, I have to relearn the entire set. I have to relearn, you know, like how to play, like what Ashe does and these kind of things. That can be off-putting. I think generally the idea is that mid sets. I need to drink some water. I've been recording so many videos back to back. I'm straining my vocal cords for you guys. I'm gonna be hoarse tomorrow. All for you guys. I'm doing it all for you. And you didn't even click the like button? You're not even subscribed to the channel? I don't have much time left if you don't subscribe. Each subscribe is an extra year on my life. I'm gonna live a long time then. Okay. That's my biggest like it just helps a little bit with player retention, right? They like if you looked at the graph, big spike when a new set comes out, and then a little spike with the mid set, which I think makes sense generally. Like mid sets aren't enough to completely bring players back in the same way that like a new set is, but they are enough to, like, you know, give people something interesting to play around. So is that a good or a bad thing? No, I mean, I think it's a fine thing at the end of the day. Like yeah, mid sets are reasonable. They decided to get rid of them, though. I guess that's the other thing that I want to talk about here. Is that, you know, the idea, I think, from more than everyone, and maybe people can correct me in the comments from what they've said about mid sets, was that it wasn't really worth the time and effort was not worth it for mid sets. It was not worth it. It wasn't worth it for them to put all of this work into a mid set when like it was just a little bit of a bump. And so the idea was we can have a bit longer sets and still, you know, have that bump after, you know, like 4 months set, especially because they have more people. But they're not putting all these resources into a mid set. But I think at the end of the day, they basically said this time we had a bunch of time. And you know, maybe like they were in like a lull period on like working on other sets. You know, they had to, you know, Riot Games had to push through the approval for set 15 skeletons and ghouls, and so they were like, okay, well we got a week where we gotta wait for, you know, Papa Riot Games to tell us if skeletons and ghouls works. So then, you know, fine, we'll just wait and we'll use that time to, you know, work on this stuff. And if that's the case, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's crazy and it's a lot of change. But yeah, okay. So I guess now I can kind of talk about like just in general, like, should this happen all the time? Wow, Nora, just such a high roller. Like, is this something that should be the norm in TFT? Or, you know, like, should that not be the case? They certainly said this is going to happen, but like it's happened set 11, it's happening set 12. Should this happen all the time? I think I'm fine with a set where this doesn't happen, you know, like where things, and I think the set is launched fine. You know, the people who are like, oh man, like the set sucks and that's why they're reworking it. I mean, I've already talked that. I don't think that's the case. Spellblades is so good here. So like I think that is fine. But like it would be a bit weird, right? if this happened and then next set there was another one, because like at that point you start to kind of expect it. So I assume they won't do one of these for like next set, but I mean, I guess we'll see. I do think at the end of the day, just vibes based, I like a lot of the changes they're making, and I think it is exciting, right? It's exciting to look forward to. Wow, we're gonna have a big new crazy patch that's about to happen. In almost the same way that I mean, obviously the comparisons to mid sets are there for a reason. It's basically a mini mid set. You kind of get, I guess, best of both worlds, if you really want to think about it that way. You get the bonus of being able to add a bunch of cool stuff to the game, but you don't have to go so far in the mid set as far as like changing everything and like reworking like traits and stuff like that. I think that's a reasonable way to think about it, is that, yeah, like you get the benefits of a mid set, you get a little bit of extra player attention, you get to throw stuff in the game, because like Mort's saying, if you're going to throw Frying Pan into the game, it's going to be a big change. And Mort has never been shy about just throwing new changes to the game when he thinks, the game is ready. Like the artifact stuff, like the changes where, like the AD and AP changes. What set was that? Set 9? Where they changed like how AD and AP worked? Like people at that moment were like, this is like too big of a change to actually happen like in the middle of a set. But I think like at the end of the day, they've kind of been proven right a lot of the time that like this change can happen and it's fine. It's not too much. Okay, I'm kind of talking myself into saying that like I don't even really agree about the like, oh, it's like too much change argument, because honestly, like every time people have been like, it's going to be too much change, it's been fine. Like the AD AP item split thing was like a lot, but it was fine at the end of the day. Like it was a bit, or not AD items, but like the way fundamentally how AD changed. Or the same thing with artifacts. Like a lot of people are like, oh, there's so many artifacts, like it's gonna be so confusing to play the game. But like they didn't change things up too much. They were a little bit of spice, and then the rest of the game was normal. So I guess, yeah. Honestly, the more that I think about it, I can't really see an argument against this. I think it's good that they can change the game when they want to, and just, do something like this when they're excited to do it and when they have a lot of passionate people. And I guess it's just to glaze right a little bit. It's so cool that we're at this point in TFT where they can just do this in a random patch, push through all of these huge changes that make the game better. I think that's so cool. And so, I mean, so good for the future of TFT, Okay, I will say that this is completely unrelated. Wow, I should not say this. Please, Riot Games, can we get more lands? Because I'm not trying to travel all the way to Macau. I mean, Macau, I'm sure it's really cool, but it's really expensive to go there. And I would have to sit on a plane for 18 hours. So, like, all I want is there to be a yearly land in NA, at least. Maybe more than yearly. Multiple lands a year in NA. Wow, that's Vex 3 from Orb. Is this Soju guy a high roller? Yes, he is. Oh my god, Andy gets Salvager here so he can remake and put Spark on, but he needs to make items quickly. Okay. I mean, his Veigar items are fine. You just go Gargoyle, Spark here. Honestly, fuck it. Okay, yeah, you kind of have to make Merlot. And then, ooh. Yeah, okay, these are probably the best items. Warmog is not that good, but like, you get to make much better Nami items if you do this. Okay, very smart by Mr. Soju. Beautiful. Also, I didn't look at this bot ahead of time, so if he goes 8th, I'm ending the video, because I'm honestly, like, I've mostly said my piece, but I'm so jealous of games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, where they just have, like, quote-unquote lands. I mean, a lot of Magic's events are lands because, like, they need people. Oh, what the fuck is that? Where, like, they get to do all of these cool changes. He really wants a Portal layer, just, yeah. I mean, I guess this is fine for now. Honestly, I might play Rise on this board. But yeah, like, I'm so jealous of those games, and I really want that for TFT. Can we please have that for TFT? Just regular land, so that I can meet up once a year with Kai and say, hey, Kai, still master tier, buddy? And just, like, do that in person, I mean, that fosters community. It's so fun. But, like, if I have to go to Macau, like, once every 3 years, that's kind of a tough... isn't it? Oh, interesting call here. Chrono over 7 mage, 3 Arcana over 7 mage. I don't completely hate it. I hate it a little bit though. I mean, I don't know how much damage you're actually getting. I didn't see how many charms he had in here. Okay, I'll stop talking about the game. Okay, but back to the actual topic at hand here. I mean, yeah. After thinking about this more, I can't really think of a reason against doing this. I think it makes sense. It's fun. I like I talked about in the last video, I like a lot of the changes that are coming through. Okay, let me foresee the things that you guys are gonna yap about. Because I know some of you guys are gonna yap about something in the comments. Is it too big of a change? Well, I already talked about that. I mean, what's the last thing that Mort said? Is it because the set's bad? Yeah. After thinking about it, I think there's literally no argument against it. So let's just watch the rest of this Soju VOD, honestly, together. And I don't know, you guys beam your thoughts into my brain so I can respond to them in real time, because I'm sure you guys will have something to yap about. Okay, I'll just yap more about more lands. We need more lands for TFT. TFT, like, Vegas was so fun, and I would go to Macau. It's just so far away. If it was almost anywhere else in the world, I would go, but it's so far. Like, if they do one in EU, eventually, or like in LATAM, like, I'm certainly down to go to one of those. I don't know, where else would they do it? Probably in EU, I imagine next one would be. I have no inside info, by the way. Like, I'm like negative leaking anything because I know less than nothing, but like it makes sense, right? You know, you do one in Americas, you do one in Asia, like one in LATAM, kind of makes sense. But yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's just, I told this story before, but I went to a Pokemon land because there was one in my city, and it was so cool. Like, it was just so cool seeing everything on the big screen, and like, obviously Vegas was so sick. It's just like, if I have to wait okay, so here's what I'm thinking of, right? Vegas was in NA, obviously. Then they have one in Macau. Then they have one in EU next year. So then I have to wait every 3 years for there to be a LAN for my game. Worlds isn't even LAN. Like, I couldn't even go like spectate Worlds if I wanted to. Like, yeah, honestly, like, if they made Worlds a LAN, the problem is, of course, like, the logistics of that, I guess, is the really hard part. Is that, like, logistically, like, people find out that they're in TFT Worlds like a week or two before World starts. Like, there's not enough time for people to get like visas and stuff like that. I mean, maybe there can just be a little bit more of a run-up. I know people then will bitch about like, oh, well, then like people qualify on a patch and then it's like on a completely different patch. But I mean, same shit happens in League. Like, I don't know. That's fine. Okay, that's my petition. Have a bit more time between regionals and worlds, and then give people enough time to find, I mean, you definitely take this, to get like visas and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. What the hell is this? Oh, Locket. Interesting. Luden's single item. Oh, just Eternal Winter TK. Oh, this is kind of sick. I like this. But I mean, LAN. Oh, wouldn't LAN TFT Worlds be so fun? They have to find a way to do it. I mean, they don't actually. I mean, they can just make it so that the big LANs are the opens. But like I'm never there to be smaller LANs, honestly. Like, every LAN doesn't have to be like a Vegas open level LAN. And I know they had like the DreamHack Dallas and stuff like that. But stuff like that, I mean, it's almost like too small at that point. Okay, now I'm just complaining. But you know, like, that one you had to like bring your own PC. Like, you couldn't even go there if you didn't have like, and my laptop is garbage. So like, what was I supposed to do? But like, yeah, I guess we can have more. Maybe like bigger sub-regionals is the answer to that. Stuff like DreamHack Dallas. Okay, maybe I've also answered my own question there. You know what I've learned from this experience is that sometimes you just need to talk things out. You know, you just need to talk it out to understand. All right, I'm getting a phone call. I gotta go. Goodbye. Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys in person probably the day after tomorrow, actually. Well, not in person. I'm not gonna like come to you guys' house. But yeah, okay, bye.